what happens to economies during World War III, or during major wars, excuse me? Well, they become command economies. They become even more controlled by the government. Not that we're already not controlled by the government here in the UK. Government spending is more than 50% of GDP. Yes, in the US is a little less. Europe, it's even worse, right? It will be an excuse to inflate, to do yield curve control. And yes, we will suffer. The general public will suffer. The bankers, the big corporations, they will do marvelously. War is the best kind of business. You just have to read War is a Racket by Smedley Butler. Wednesday, September 24th, 2025, Maneco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. Well, we usually don't talk much about geopolitics, even though we have covered geopolitics quite a bit in the past. It's one of the topics that we also focus on because it's really important for economics worldwide as well. And today we're going to focus on that. I mean, from what I see here, President Trump has just green-lighted a major war. I don't want to call it World War III, but I might have to. He's just done a 180 on his stance vis-a-vis Ukraine and Russia. And that's what we're going to look at today, and how it could affect, well, and how it would affect financial markets, currencies, gold, silver, inflation, economies. But before I do, I'd like to thank all of you for your support of the channel, for subscribing, for following me. Make sure you also hit the like button if you enjoy my videos. Don't forget to hit the like button. I know I forget sometimes when I watch other people to hit the like button. It helps. And think about sharing the videos as well, and hitting the notification bell to be notified of all my new videos. I post a video every day. Have done it for almost continuously for 10 years. There were a few exceptions, of course, like last year when I had to go into surgery, heart surgery, yeah. I was out for a week. So thanks again. And I also see that a lot of you who watch the channel are not subscribed. So maybe think about subscribing as well. So back to geopolitics, and yes, it's one of the topics that I really like. I don't focus on it. I'm not a specialist, even though my academic background is a little bit, well, it is in geopolitics and economics. My undergraduate degree is in international relations and economics. So it's something that I follow very closely, and I've spoken in the past in one of my first videos. I might find it and put it up here. It's really, it really shows how I've come a long way in terms of my delivery. But I talk about Brzezinski's big game, or Halford Mackinder's the world island, and the country that controls the world island, which is Eurasia, right? Eurasia and Africa controls the world. And that was a theory of geopolitics in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And the globalists and the the British Empire, they've been following that strategy. And it's one of the reasons why there's so much antagonistic. They're so antagonistic to the Russians, and they have been since like the 1830s. The British have been anti-Russian, and they still are. And it's very surprising coming from Donald Trump yesterday, the comments he made, because it looked like Donald Trump was trying to start a normal relationship with the Russians. He had met President Putin in Alaska, and he had told Ukraine, you're going to have to give up some territory. So it looked like the Mackinder's and Brzezinski's big game was finishing, and that the globalists and the Anglo-American empire, which part of the globalists, was like basically melting down. And I said yesterday in my video, it's really hard to trust any politician, don't believe what they say. Look at what they do, right? I said that. And it's interesting because yesterday at the UN, President Trump made some really, said some things that I really agreed with, but he only said it, right? One of them was about climate change, that it's a scam, and I agree 100%. And I reposted the U.S. Department of Energy post on that. It said, POTUS, that's what he said here, climate change is the greatest con job ever perpetrated on the world. If you don't get away from the green energy scam, your country is going to fail. And then he also, Karen Levitt posted that he said at the UN, the entire globalist concept of asking successful industrialized nations to inflict pain on themselves and radically disrupt their entire society must be rejected completely and totally. So I agree with that, but now, later on, he said the following. Donald Trump says Ukraine can win back all of its territory seized by Russia. And he even said that the Telegraph says Trump tells Ukraine, take back all your land, then go further. So that's really confusing because the people behind the Ukraine war really, some people might say, oh, it's Russia. No, it's the globalists, the neocons. They've been at it, since the mid-90s, I would say, because America told the Soviets or Russia when the Soviet Union collapsed that NATO would not expand eastward. And it has. And and in 2014, of course, America under President Obama fomented a coup. Victoria Nuland fomented a coup in Ukraine. And that's what led to all the troubles in eastern Ukraine, because eastern Ukraine has a lot of ethnic Russians. They persecuted them for what? For 8 years until President Putin and Russia started their special military operation. So there's a lot more to it, but I'm shocked that Trump has turned around. Did they tell him something when he was here in London? I mean, he was very welcome by the royals. He had a great, how can I say, state banquet, state dinner, all the pageantry, and you kind of wonder what's going on. And I think I spoke to the Nome of Zurich this morning. I usually don't talk to him that early, and I said, this is World War III. Trump has just green-lighted it. And he said, yes, but it's not, the Russians are not going to be provoked. They're going to let the Europeans attack first. And he's always talking about this Taurus missile that the Germans have that will be used, and that will finally wake up the Russian bear. So why has Trump changed tune? I don't know. Maybe ask him, but it's really strange. Of course, he's changed tune on many things, and that's why I said never trust a politician. Look at what they do, and this seems to be major because he even says that the U.S. might join Europe and NATO in helping the Ukraine. Right now, he's saying Europeans have to sort it out, have to help Ukraine, and NATO as well. But he even said now that NATO and the U.S. might even shoot down Russian planes that breach airspace from NATO countries, like the Russians supposedly did with Estonia. So things are getting really rocky. And the reason why I say World War III is because if America really triggers this war against Russia, it's not just against Russia, because I think listening to other, to geopolitical experts like Alistair Crook, the Duran guys, Glenn Deason, and many others, it seems like if you go after Russia, the West, and they have been going after Russia because what's happened in Ukraine is a proxy war. It means you're going to go after China afterwards, and I think that's why World War III is a danger. So what happens to economies during World War III? Or during major wars, excuse me, well, they become command economies. They become even more controlled by the government. Not that we're already not controlled by the government here in the UK. Government spending is more than 50% of GDP. Yes, in the US is a little less. Europe, it's even worse, right? It will be an excuse to inflate, to do yield curve control. And yes, we will suffer. The general public will suffer. The bankers, the big corporations, they will do marvelously. War is the best kind of business. You just have to read War is a Racket by Smedley Butler. And he was very experienced in war, but he also came out and exposed what war was all about. I highly recommend it. I've got it's like a pamphlet. I've got it here. And the reason why it's such good business is because remember during COVID, it was kind of like a war condition, right? They shut the economy. You couldn't do this or that. And do you remember how friends of politicians did really well with contracts for things? Well, in war, it's the same, but it's massively bigger than that. And it makes sense because it's not just Europe, like France and the UK, that are melting down fiscally, socially, economically, politically. I would argue it's the United States too. That's the granddaddy of it all. So they have to keep this charade going for a bit longer before the West collapses. But now all bets are off. And I think this is a dangerous juncture in history. Let's hope let's hope things don't escalate, but I don't see it not escalating. I don't think the Russians are going to sit back and allow the Europeans and NATO to come after the gains they've made in the Ukraine. And for Trump to say you can even go further, that's a very aggressive signal. But like the Nome of Zurich said to me, the Russians will not fire the first shot. They will not be provoked. But I'm not certain about that either. And President Trump argues that the Russian economy is a paper tiger, that it's falling apart. But we heard that also from President Biden. And Russia has gone from strength to strength. It has a lot of support outside the G7 and outside NATO. So it's really weird, isn't it? It's almost like we're getting Biden 2.0 in some senses, not every sense, of course. We're getting all the deficit spending, all the new debt, and now this. So that's what's going on. And is it surprising? It's not surprising in this context now that gold and silver are doing so well. Maybe insiders knew this was coming, and this is what the rise in gold and silver in the last week or so has been all about. Even if the situation wasn't as it is now vis-a-vis geopolitics, gold and silver would still be the place to be. So yes, hold on to it if you can. War changes everything. How do you prepare and how do you live through a war? I don't know, because I've never had to. And 99% of the people alive now, well, maybe a little less, but very few people are experienced with world wars and major wars like the Napoleonic Wars. But war is the health of the state, unfortunately. And I think this is what it's all about. A Western state, the Anglo-American Empire's last hurrah, I would say. And there are many of those who think that, and it's weird because I saw those comments by Trump at the UN. I was encouraged. He's going against the globalists, climate change, and now this. This changes everything. It's very confusing to know who's doing what. It's almost like there's two factions of the globalists, and Trump is one of them. So I don't know what to say anymore. But let's just quickly look at where the markets are. It's 7:34 a.m. London time. We got spot gold at 37.71, so it's up about $7. High's been 77. The low's been 50. I have a target for gold around 4,400. And this is why I'll show you this chart here. It's a continuation chart. So we started the year around 2,600. We went up to 3,500 in April. So that's $900. Then we consolidated for 4 months. We've broken now that consolidation, that triangle. So we should go up $900. The distance that the first leg went. So if you take the breakout around 3,500 and you add $900, you get 4,400. It's simple. And that's technical analysis. But I suspect that we could go a lot higher because the way things are evolving, economically, financially, and geopolitically is very explosive for gold. So that's how I see gold. If you haven't got any gold yet or silver, I suggest you think about getting some. And this is not advice. This is me thinking, because all bets are off. If there's a major war, there will be controls on everything. Gold included. It doesn't mean they're going to come after your gold, but you're not going to be able to exchange paper money for gold. And that's what happened during World War II, World War I, Napoleonic Wars. So it's nothing new. Spot silver, 44.15. That's up 13. High's been 32. Low 43.66. And I've noticed that silver has been bashed around quite a bit of late, like smacked down, but it comes right back up. So 50, here we come, I would say. The rest of the market is fairly quiet right now. With that, I'm going to wish you all a very good day. Take care. Bye.